All right, it's KJI TV, baby. We live, and what I want to talk about, a lot of controversy on this fight, this legendary performance and historical event that occurred between Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. And my main point is this: the question that everyone has, or the question that everyone has automatically tried to answer, is why did Errol Spence look so bad? Why did Errol Spence lose so bad? Why did Errol get completely dominated in this fight? There are many reasons why, but one thing that we all have to accept, and some people it's going to be hard for them to accept than others, but I've already accepted it, is that no matter how many reasons there are for why Errol looks so bad, we cannot be concrete about not even one reason, because at the end of the day, we really don't know. It's one of the new theories that came up about this fight is that Errol Spence had altitude sickness, that he went up in high altitude and he trained for the first time. Did you see Joshua versus Ngannou was a done deal? I hope Ngannou doesn't get hurt in that fight. You gotta keep in mind, Anthony Joshua, his body is fresh. He's only been in one war with Usyk. Anthony Joshua is not Tyson Fury, who went through that trilogy with Deontay Wilder. But let's get back to the topic. They said that Errol Spence, the reason he looked so bad is because he had altitude sickness. They said he went to train up in the mountains. He's never done it before. They said if you go up and increase your altitude as starkly as he did, he didn't just go from one level of altitude to the next level. They said he went all the way up to the maximum level of altitude, and they said that fucked up his body. He got altitude sickness, and that's why he performed in the manner that he did. Do I think that's why Errol got his ass whooped? Maybe. But I'm going to tell you my theory on why I think Errol got beat. I'm going to tell you, this is just my opinion. I believe that Errol Spence Jr. is a great talent. I believe Errol Spence Jr. is a natural at boxing. But I believe he was so talented and so natural that it actually led to his downfall in this fight. Because Errol Spence was a guy that was in a full-time position, but he tried to have part-time credentials. He was in a full-time position. He has 3 belts, but he tried to have part-time focus on a full-time job. What do I mean by that? This is what I mean. Of course, people are talking about the car crashes, but he bounced back from the car crash in the Ugas fight. Credit to him. Errol Spence is pretty indestructible as a man. So this live isn't about bashing on him or hating on him. But I'm going to tell you what I mean by that. When I say that he was in a full-time position, but he tried to have a part-time shift. This is what I'm telling you. Errol Spence was ballooning up after fights. After fights, Errol was, yeah, you could join. Anybody who wants to join, you could join. But after fights, Errol was ballooning up in weight. He wasn't staying in shape year-round. When you're at a championship level, you can't afford to do that. Terrence Crawford, on the other hand, he was in great shape, even when he wasn't fighting. And Terrence is a naturally skinny man. What's
What's
up?
up?
Let me finish landing this plane, and then I'm gonna let you go ahead and give your thoughts. Now, Errol Spence, like I said, was in a full-time position, but he tried to play a part-time role. What do I mean by that? He's allowing himself to get out of shape in between fights, not training. Now you're aging. You've already was struggling to make the weight. Now you're aging and you're not even staying in shape in between the fight. So as you age, fat sticks to your body more. It's harder to lose the weight. That's one reason why Errol lost. Another reason is inactivity. The man didn't take no tune-up in between the damn Ugas fight and the Crawford fight, just out of the ring. Even Crawford, he took the Avanichan fight. Even Crawford, he knew, look, I'm 36 years old. I got to rev up this engine. I can't just go out there in the highway and try to do 100, try to do 120. You understand what I'm saying? So Errol, he didn't take care of his body by staying in shape. He doesn't eat the right foods. We know that. Also, Errol likes to party. He likes to drink a lot to the point where, he'll be out drunk in public. That's all his business. This live isn't about drinking. This live isn't about your party habits. But when you in that Floyd Mayweather position, when you one of the money guys in boxing, when you got the biggest name is Errol, and when you're the owner of 3 belts at the welterweight division, can you afford to be drinking? Can you afford to be partying? Can you afford to be gaining weight in between fight? Can you afford to be having to come down from 180 plus pounds? How does that affect the human body? So I don't think it was the altitude sickness. It could have been. I could be wrong, but I think that the reason Errol got dominated is because of a few things. Number one, Terrence Crawford is more skilled than him. Number two, Terrence was more prepared than Errol. Number three, Errol didn't take care of his body in between fights. He tried to play a part-time role in a full-time position. Number four, I think both Errol and Derrick James got a little bit cocky, got a little bit ahead of themselves, and they underrated Terrence Crawford. Number five, Errol, his style, a little bit one-dimensional. He showed more dimensions in different fights, like the Mikey Garcia fight. He showed that he could box and move, but for the most part, he just tries to bully and walk straight through guys. And credit to him, he's been able to do that for this long because he's such a great natural talent. But sometimes you're such a great natural talent, like Shaquille O'Neal, that you just think that you could just eat whatever you want, do whatever you want, get fat,
Yeah.
lose all. That's Errol Spence. Errol Spence is basically Shaquille O'Neal. Natural talent, bigger than his opponents, a power. His power is what brings him through. And I'm not talking about electric power, but thudding power. His physical presence is what helps him dominate a lot of men. He does have a pretty good IQ, but a lot of it is physical dominance, but he doesn't take care of his body, so he couldn't keep up the physical dominance. So he basically Shaquille O'Neal right now. Now, NBA 2K, I'm going to let you go ahead and give your take.
Errol, he was partying. He was doing a lot of things, man. And for him to lose that fight, that wasn't like him. He was walking everybody down. It's crazy.
He definitely was walking
Yeah,
everybody down.
yeah, he
Now,
wasn't
when we look,
like
you
the
said
boxer
what?
that I thought he didn't look like the boxer that I thought he was in that Crawford fight. He wasn't doing what he normally do.
Well, he was doing what he normally does, but his body wasn't the same.
Yeah.
His body wasn't the same, man, because he let himself go so many times, and then he has to get back in shape instead of just staying in shape. Now you're coming off of car crashes, so you take another hit to the body. Also, you've been drinking alcohol. Terrence Crawford doesn't smoke and drink.
So
I think Errol smokes a
putting
little
like a
something, something
gym
the way he
rat.
talks
So
about the
he be
Mike
in the
Tyson
gym.
products, but Errol drinks as well. So you haven't been taking care of your body, and other events have occurred to your body. All these things affecting Errol's physical body. Then they say this man went up in the mountains and didn't get acclimated to the altitude that he was at. So he had altitude sickness. So it's like a
Yep.
cocktail of bad decisions and bad circumstances coming together. And on top of that, Terrence Crawford looks to be the better boxer.
And Crawford was. He was the better boxer than him.
Yo, somebody named AB is joining up.
Yo, yo,
What's up,
yo,
AB?
we saying, bro, we saying.
Now, um, it's some cheating claims going around. A lot of people think that Bud Crawford cheated. So how y'all feel about that?
Nah, never, never, never. But
He
nah,
never
nah, he
cheat.
don't
He's
cheat, he don't
athletic.
cheat.
He ain't cheating. I don't believe that.
Well, a lot of people think that Bud is on roids.
Who's
This is the
this, bro?
thing. I can't say that Terrence is on
Bro,
roids,
it's
but
not my
people they
life,
see you
man.
with that snack shirt because one of the founders of Snack. He pretty much created the little snack company so he could help athletes out with the cheating aspect. But I don't think just because I see a guy in a snack shirt that he's a cheater, because you gotta understand, people out here trying to get money.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
most athletes, if they see that you're paying them for wearing their shit, they're gonna put it on. That don't even mean that they have to even eat the shit. They could just be in a video with a damn sub that they never eat. They could
Yeah.
be a vegetarian next to a meat sub that they've never eaten. But if Subway throw them that money, they're gonna be right there in that damn commercial holding the sub up to them talking about, so delicious. So I don't think that based off of the snack shirt, we could say that Errol is a cheater. But I understand why some people would say, I mean not Errol, but I understand why people would say Bud is a cheater because his performance was so magnificent. But if you've been watching his career, the man has been putting people out cold. The fact that Errol didn't get put to sleep, even though his body was clearly compromised, is a testament to Errol's natural strength. But Bud Crawford, he athletic as shit, bro. A lot of athleticism.
Bud, is Bud pound for pound number one?
Is Bud pound for pound number one?
Bud? Bud Crawford?
Oh, Crawford.
After a performance like that, he's already two-time undisputed, right? But after a performance like that, where you're fighting up against another fighter who's accomplished things that have never been accomplished, Errol was one of the longest reigning welterweight champions ever, had 3 belts. You know what I mean? was dominating his opponents, and Bud
Do you
didn't
know
just
what's
beat him;
proper
he
weird? You know what's
completely
proper weird?
dominated
It's
him.
proper
So
weird.
after a performance like that against that type of an
This for
opponent,
me.
you have to make him pound for pound number one.
What did he say?
So do you think Crawford beats Canelo?
I said
No, that's
after.
not gonna happen, man. Yo, listen, I've got my little cousin here, yeah. He's only about 15,
Thanks,
16. Yeah.
Michael.
He said to me, it's a bit of a dumb question, but I'm just gonna say it because he really wants me to say it. Do you think Canelo, what did he say? Say the question, say it.
What I said, do you think Crawford beats Canelo?
He said,
Oh
does Crawford
no,
beat
no,
Canelo?
no.
No, he might
Tell him
can
again.
beat him. I don't know. I think he can.
Unless it's a catch weight, Bud is too small for
Listen,
Canelo. The only way that Bud could beat Canelo at super middleweight, he would actually have to get on steroids.
Like a
He
beer
has,
for
he has a
football.
very small frame.
Yeah.
Boxing beer.
So you gotta
no.
understand, there's weight classes for a reason. So
100%, 100%. It's
Bud
dangerous,
Crawford,
man. Look at,
he has
but
a
look at
smaller
Bibble,
build.
what he did to Canelo. A fucking masterclass, lad. Fuck's
Oh no,
sake.
skill wise, Bud has more skill than Canelo.
Bud is skill wise, for me, he's like the perfect fighter. Literally, any style, any way, he'll fight you,
Yeah.
he'll trap you, and he'll end you. Easy as that, mate. Simple boxing,
Well,
mate.
I don't think Bud is a perfect fighter. I don't know
Oh,
if we've seen the
mate, no,
perfect.
mate, you know the thing
Who
with
do you
Bud,
think
yeah?
then?
Who do you think's the perfect fighter?
I don't think we've seen a
Boxer.
perfect fighter. Every fighter has something that they can work on. Like Bud, he puts his hands up, he allows himself to get hit a whole lot because he's
Why is
focused on
that though?
offense.
That's the trap. That's called the trap, mate.
Yeah, it's
He's
called a
trapping him
trap.
in.
It's called a
He's letting
trap,
him
but
in,
Yep.
and then do
it's
you know what he's
listen,
doing
listen.
after that? He's
It's called a
learning
trap,
him,
but against
learning him.
Machine.
He's like a tiger. He's like a lion. Sorry, he's like a lion. He lures him. Then guess what? Out of nowhere, he just attacks. That's why he was so sharp, and everything was just so bang on to the dot,
That's
to the
great.
diamond against Errol. Errol didn't know what day it was. Literally,
Now hold up, listen.
he fought on a
It's a trap.
Saturday. He woke up on a fucking
It's
Monday,
a
mate.
trap. All
Get
right,
it?
but against
Straight up.
Gamboa,
Straight
he
up,
fell
Errol
into
got
his own
dominated.
trap.
Crawford's the better fighter.
Listen, against Bud
Listen,
Crawford sets
wait, let him
traps,
talk,
right?
let him talk.
Yeah, that was right. Listen. Bud Crawford sets traps, but sometimes he almost falls into his own trap, being too offensive. When he fought Gamboa, he got
I think
hurt. He
you're
could
just
have gotten
negative.
No,
stopped.
no,
When he
that's
fought
not.
Mean Machine, he got hurt. He could have gotten stopped because he likes to stand there and take punches. So he's not a perfect fighter. That's a vulnerability. That's a weakness. And at 36 years old, he can't move how he used to move. So he's gonna have to stay in there and take even more
Oh,
hits. So if he
he
fights a
moves
fighter that can
wicked.
really punch, he might get stopped. Boots Ennis
He
could potentially knock out Terrence Crawford.
listen, whatever his age is, yeah, right now
The
he
strong
moves
fighter,
absolutely
Boots can
wicked,
fight.
lad.
Huh?
Bud's the goat, man. Bud's the goat. I've been watching Bud for a long time.
He's
Let me
good.
tell
He
you one
can
thing
fight.
about
He
him, yeah.
stays in the gym. He work on his
He's
craft.
had
He's
zero
good.
losses, mate. And let me tell you now, yeah, he ain't gonna lose. He ain't gonna lose. He ain't ever gonna lose. Bud's the man.
Niggas in his weight
Boots
division.
Ennis, when he was fighting against that Karen guy, I think Karen was rushing or something. Karen gave him problems just because he didn't want to stand in the pocket. Karen moved
Listen, but
around.
can I ask you something? Did you think it was gonna a 50-50 fight, Errol versus Bud, before this will actually happen? Be honest.
You said Errol versus Boots?
No, I said Errol versus Bud. Do you think it was
Oh
a fair
yeah,
fight?
I thought that was gonna be a 50-50. I thought it was gonna be back and forth. I
Yeah,
was
but
shocked.
are you not shocked how good of a performance Bud put in? And he probably would have in at 100%.
Who wasn't at 100?
Bud, he wasn't 100%. You were chilling.
Yeah, Bud was at 100. That
He
was the
was
best.
spanking that dude, man.
Yeah, he
Huh?
Wait,
It's
what
facts.
was the question?
Yo, Trav Montana, what's up?
Yo, what was the question?
Do you know
Okay,
game?
so
Fuck
I'm
on
gonna get
my
back to the original point of the live.
respectful.
A lot of people think that Errol Spence lost because of these many different reasons. Some people say he ate something. Some people say he had altitude
Bullshit.
sickness. Some
Man,
people
that's
say that he was at 147 too long. His
I bet
body
it
was
did.
right.
Yo.
AB, listen, I'm talking, man. You about to get dropped.
So basically, yeah, they're on a Bud on the Crawford and Errol Spence debate, yeah.
Yeah.
And this guy over here, yeah, he's literally saying that Crawford's not as a good a fighter, like as what everyone says he is. and then he's basically called him a cheat, and then he said that Errol.
All right. So he
Real,
had to get up out of here.
realistically,
Hey,
the
thanks for
reason.
No.
coming up, but you
What
can't
is he
take over
talking?
live. Hey, Trav
Yeah,
Montana,
man.
this is the
He,
question. We going back to what the main point of live is. All right.
I bet.
Errol Spence, in my opinion, he had a full-time position as a champion with 3 belts, but he tried to play a part-time role. You
Okay.
understand? So Errol wasn't staying in shape outside of fights. He was drinking, he was partying, he wasn't focused. Then, sadly, out of his control, he got into car accidents, more than one. Hey, Big Chicos, thanks for the gifts. I think these factors played
Other
into the
car
role of him
accident?
getting dominated.
But no.
Not even just losing. Maybe Bud will beat Errol at his best because Bud seems to be more skilled and more athletic. But Errol hadn't taken care of his body. And now at 33 years old, we saw the effects of him not taking care of his body in that fight where he stayed at 147 too long and he was weight drained. But would he have been weight drained if he had taken care of his body and stayed close to fight shape year round like true champions do, like Floyd Mayweather used to do?
The thing with the thing with the Bud and the Errol Spence rivalry, like this should go back years. Like if you really pay attention to it, Errol Spence had been ducking Bud for a while. Bud has always
I
been a
don't think
top
Errol was
contender.
ducking Bud though. Errol said what
I
he
mean,
said he wanted. This is what he said. He said it out his own mouth, and then I'm gonna let you talk. Sorry to cut you off, but this is what he said. He said, "Why not get the easier belts first?" Because he already
yeah,
knew Bud was the top challenger at that weight, so he went and collected all the belts. That way, he had the leverage. But in the end, his leverage didn't work because Bud made him go 50-50 with everything.
I was gonna say, it's two ways you can look at it. You know, some people look at it like Spence had been ducking him for a while, but some people look at it like Errol Spence just been downplaying Bud his whole career. Like Errol Spence had never seen Bud as someone who could really beat him. He always looked at him like he was a lesser opponent than him. So
My question to you is: if you become champion, are you going to look at your opponents as they could beat you, or do you think they're lesser than you? Because in order to be the top guy, you have to think that you're better than everyone else. So I can't really fault Errol for that, but I do think that his confidence became cockiness because if you're not even training, staying in shape year round, then that means that you're being a little bit cocky. You're not taking care of the business. What's
yeah,
up, bro?
To be
and when
honest, I just think that Errol just got outclassed. I think he just fought the better man in the ring, and he just got outclassed. And that
I agree
happens
with you.
sometimes
He
in
was
boxing.
outclassed, but we can't ignore the fact that his body looked completely different. He looked drained. He didn't
I
look like himself.
I think he's just too big. I think 154 is his natural weight class. I think he's just too big for 140. I think he's just too big for 147, and he was
Facts. I
dehydrated, and
agree.
he wasn't at his best.
I
460.
agree.
I think if the I feel like if the rematch was at 154, it might have been a bit more competitive, but I still think Crawford would beat him either way. I think he's just a
Now,
better
do you
fighter.
think
But
that Crawford cheated?
I don't.
nah, I don't think Crawford's cheating. If Crawford would have been cheating, it would have been came out by now. It's been
Okay,
plenty
well,
of
what about
boxers
the
who got
glove gate
exposed
in
for
the
cheating.
Avenetian fight? In the Avenetian fight, Terrence Crawford's gloves they blew up. The gloves they broke. They came apart in the middle of the fight.
And it could be multiple factors to shit like that. I mean, has he cheated in the past? Ain't no telling. With the Spence fight, I feel like he was 100% not cheating, and he just simply beat the shit out of Errol Spence. Errol Spence could not compete with Bud.
Yeah, he couldn't compete with him personally. I don't know if Bud cheated or not, but until further evidence comes out, I'm going to say he
Yeah.
didn't because we can't just be throwing around cheating allegations.
Yep.
But there is, that fight. It was so much shit that happened in that fight to where as though I'm looking at all possibilities. Personally, though, what I would say the best thing for Errol that happened to him is that ass whooping, and the reason why I say that is because I don't think Errol was as focused as he needed to be in the position that he was in.
Not and they got the rematch at 154 coming up. Realistically, it won't be a
Oh,
big difference.
are you sure that it's at 154? Because there was some drama about that.
Well, I think in the original contract there was a rematch scheduled for 154. Either way, Errol Spence is picking the Errol Spence had like everything was in favor of Errol Spence. If you look at the contract and the way it was written up, it was written in favor of Errol Spence beating Bud. Like everybody thought that Spence was gonna win, so that's how the contract was written. You can only
Okay.
have the rematch. The rematch can only be
That's true.
Activated
if
by the
Bud wanted the
loser.
rematch, yeah, if Bud wanted the rematch, Bud couldn't make that call. The rematch is on Errol Spence to call. So the fight's gonna happen unless he calls it off, which he's not
Well,
gonna
no, no,
call
no.
out
The
when the
contract
ego's
said
too
that
big.
the other guy had a certain amount of time before he could activate the rematch clause. So either one of them could have called for the rematch, but we knew the rematch was going to happen right after we saw the fight because Errol wasn't going to leave out on that note. But
Yeah,
I think that once again, I think this was the best thing to happen to Errol because Errol didn't seem motivated in the last couple of years. When you watch the build-ups to the fight, he kept saying the same shit. He kept saying, "Why am I still doing this? You know, I'm doing it for my kids." But then he kept asking himself, "Why am I still doing this?" Because at the end of the day, once you make a certain amount of money, what's the point of going out there and getting hit in the head unless you love it? And unless you love training, you love the science of the sport. I don't think Errol was in love with boxing anymore. I don't think it was truly his passion. I don't think it's his passion now, but right now he has to redeem himself. So he's passionate about boxing more than he's ever been. Because after getting embarrassed, best believe he's going to be in the best shape of his life now. He's not going to be in the pay-per-view asking, why am I still doing this? He's going to be in the pay-per-view with a straight face, and he's going to be probably pissed off a lot in that rematch because he wants to prove himself. He wants to show that he's way better than what he showed. Because he got on the biggest stage of his life, and things didn't go his way. He pretty much got embarrassed.
yeah, and when the rematch happens, he's gonna lose again. I don't really see the point of the rematch. He gonna lose
Oh,
again.
shit.
Probably,
Hey, who said that?
yeah, he gonna lose
But
just
that
as
was trash.
I agree. I
yeah,
think he's
yeah.
gonna lose again. I don't like. He's just not as good as Crawford. Crawford is
But
This
just.
like
man Trav said, when the rematch happen, he gonna lose again.
yeah, but
He's
like
gonna lose again. He's just not. He's not on Crawford's level.
but
You
like
know
like
what
look
though,
at
man? You never know. Let me tell you something. I think Crawford will win a rematch, but if it's at 154, and if
It'll be
Errol
more
actually
competitive.
goes in there with some tactics, if he doesn't just try to bully him, you never know, man. We've seen
you gotta
Crawford get hurt before.
you gotta think though, like, even though it's at a higher weight, you gotta think Bud's been training at higher weights because look who he's trying to get the fights with. He's trying to get a fight at 154 with Charlo. He's trying to get
Yep.
a
Oh
fight at
yeah, yeah. I'm
he's
not
trying to get a
talking
fight with
about
Canelo.
the weight. The weight isn't about Errol using his weight against Crawford. The weight is about Errol actually
Yeah,
having
yeah,
energy and actually having balance about him. It was
yeah.
clear that Errol's balance was off, his timing was off, and his body was off. And I think that was part of him, partially due to him being weight drained, staying at 147 too long.
Yeah, but styles make fights. It's hard going in there against a switch hitter, someone who can fight you orthodox, fight you
Yeah.
Yeah,
southpaw,
but
switch
Bud
mid
didn't switch.
rounds.
Bud didn't switch though.
Oh yeah, he completely dominated him. He didn't even have to switch. That's how bad it was. He didn't have to
Well,
switch.
well,
I think what
you gotta
happened is
think.
that
You gotta
he
think,
got.
man. Check this out, and then I'm gonna let Brody speak. But you gotta understand, most of the time southpaws don't fight other southpaws. So Bud decided instead of me fighting orthodox, which Errol Spence might be used to, I'm gonna fight in southpaw, and I'm gonna bank on the fact that he doesn't expect me to fight southpaw the whole fight, and I'm gonna bank on the fact that my southpaw is better than his southpaw, and they were
That's
right about all of
exactly
those
what I was
things.
gonna say. I think Spence was preparing for the switch stances, but when he fought Bud and Bud wasn't switching stance, he was confused and he wasn't prepared for that contingency. So I think it might have thrown him off his
Exactly.
game a little bit.
I
Yeah,
mean,
he
we saw it in the pad work. Derek James was throwing orthodox pad work, southpaw pad work. So Terrence Crawford, they fucked up the whole game plan with that.
yeah, he just ain't going there. Spence ain't going in there with the right mentality. And they did play a
Yeah,
big
Spence
they
didn't
did
go
play
in
a
there
big
with
part of it. But
Spence
at
didn't
the
go in there
same
with a mentality of finesse. He went in there with a mentality of physicality, where he's like, I'm just gonna bully this guy.
yeah, because like look at the build up at the fights. Look at both of their careers and the path that they were going on. Bud came there with a point to prove. Bud had a big ass chip on his shoulder. He like, y'all been down me my whole career.
Sure,
Every
sure.
time I win a big fight, y'all find a way to discredit me. It still happened,
Back,
even after he beat Errol Spence. But he still went there. He completely dominated him. He left no room for controversy at all, other than those cheating allegations, which nothing has been proved. So
back,
it's
and to this day, people disrespect the Gamboa victory, but the Gamboa victory was a great victory because Gamboa was undefeated at the time. Gamboa was a gold medalist, and Bud didn't just beat him; he stopped him. You
yeah,
know,
it was
Exactly.
but I
And
mean,
he overcame
Gamboa
adversity in
was
that
a
fight as
dangerous
well.
fighter. It's just that Gamboa got old. His career was mismanaged. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like He switched
Yeah.
promoters, all type of shit.
And
But
and
Bud beat him when he was at his best.
And realistically, when you look at the styles that both fighters have, and you compare Errol Spence to Bud Crawford, the eye test Bud's gonna win 100% because when you factor
Yeah.
everything in and you see the way that Spence fights, Spence is like he's a very fundamental fighter. He's fundamentally sound, but he doesn't have any
He didn't
like
look fundamentally sound against Bud.
exactly. He ain't. But Spence ain't never been the one who's had to adapt in the ring or have to switch it up. He's always winning there with the same plan every time. Fight 1-2s,
Right.
jabs, 1-2s. Now he's in there with somebody who can
One,
switch it
two,
up and who can
five.
adapt
That's
to his
it.
style.
Spence like he doesn't even throw a real jab.
Too.
It's a big difference. And Sean Porter broke it down the best when he was comparing when he fought Spence versus when he fought Bud. He was like, Bud went in there with that dog mentality. He was like, Bud went in there with, I'm gonna beat you at your own game. Versus when Errol Spence was fighting, Spence was like, you're
Yeah,
gonna have to
too.
try to beat me at my own game. Like Bud's gonna bring the fight to you. And it's gonna come down to
Well,
who
both
wins
of
the
them.
most.
Well, Errol brings the fight to people as well. The reason why Errol got dominated by Crawford, literally, Errol, he didn't go in there doing boxing shit. Like he just went in there
Trying to
lunging and
bully
thinking
him.
he was just gonna
Exactly.
walk straight through this guy. He didn't go in there jabbing, moving his head, none of that shit. He went in there like, I'm gonna walk through this boy. And Terrence Crawford, he's on such a high skill level, you're not gonna be able to beat him with basic tactics. That's why you saw Sean Porter, he had way more success because Sean Porter was feinting, jumping in and out, attacking at different angles. You know what I mean? And when he did lunge, he lunged at specific times. Like it would be like a surprise when he did it, as opposed to just trying to walk forward, walk through the man. Terrence Crawford has shown that he's physically stronger than a lot of his opponents. So it was just a really dumb game plan. And on top of that, they say the man had altitude sickness. The motherfucker could barely make 147 no more. You know what I mean? Weight drain, all of these different
For
physical
real
things.
though.
And not only was your physical down, but you had a dumb mental plan as well. It was just a bad cocktail of things, man.
Yeah, and that
I
was
feel bad for
expected.
Errol, for real, for real.
That was expected, Errol Spence is a fan favorite. They go say whatever they can to try to downplay how bad he really got beat. That
Yeah,
shit touches
and
all
I'm
the
I'm
way
learning
down.
that as well.
Exactly.
I'm learning that as well. Like so many people fuck with Errol, and I fuck with Errol, and I wanted Errol to win. But in the event that Errol lost, I had to accept like, damn. But this is what the rematch is going to be. The rematch is going to be even better than the first fight. I promise you it is because Errol's going to be fully motivated, and Errol, his entire career is going to be riding on this fight. We thought the first fight, his career was riding on it, but if that would have been a back and forth fight, both fighters would have left with respect. It wouldn't have mattered who won. But since Errol got completely dominated, if he gets dominated again, it's going to change the way that people view his entire career.
He gonna
So
get completely
he's going
dominated
to be
again,
completely
man. I'm gonna
motivated
call
for
it
this next
now.
fight.
Yeah, he still gonna get completely dominated. I'm calling that shit now.
I
I
think the
don't
I
think he's
think
going
it's
to get
gonna be
completely
See
closer.
him
dominated.
again, man. He gonna get beat again.
And the best thing
Uh,
that can happen for boxing is actually for him to win. If he were to win the second fight, like
Yeah,
to
because it'll
stop
turn into a
Crawford,
dynasty.
now
It'll
we
turn
got
into a
one of the
dynasty
great
fight.
trilogies of all time coming.
Yeah, that's why I feel it'll turn into a dynasty fight, but it just ain't happening. It ain't happening. I bet on it. Uh, it's levels to it. Bud is a completely different animal, especially being compared to Errol Spence. You
I
know,
think that Errol stopped developing new skills and shit along the way. He was in the clubs, he was with the rappers, he was drinking, gaining up, blowing up to 185 pounds in between fights. Bud has remained focused on boxing, focused on his family. Not to say he don't hit the club and shit. I don't know what he's doing, but I think that Errol, other things was more important to him than boxing after a certain amount of time. And that happens to a lot of great champions. So I'm not knocking Errol. But
yeah,
right now, Errol is going to be the most focused he's ever been. So I know that in a rematch, he's going to do some damage. Whether he wins or loses, it's not going to be the same. But he will not get completely dominated, even in a loss,
yeah. Bud ain't even coming there with a
unless he's
haircut.
at
That's how you
147
knew.
again.
Bud ain't
Huh?
even have his haircut. That's how you knew he was finna beat some. He
Oh
ain't care
yeah,
about
Bud
none of
don't
that.
give a fuck about the physical appearance and stuff. He was coming there to do what he did. He wasn't coming there to model. He wasn't coming there
He
to
wasn't playing
take
with
pictures.
Errol.
Yeah,
I mean, it's hard. It's hard to stop a fighter like Bud. Bud ain't never been stopped before. he's had some tough battles, you know, like the Sean Porter battle. Sean Porter was winning
Right.
until what was it, the 10th round, and he got knocked down twice, back to back. But it's like, what can Errol Spence really do? What can his camp really do to prepare for Bud Crawford? Like, look at Derrick James. Derrick James, 2023 wasn't the best year for him. He had too many big fights coming up. He had too many big fighters. You know, he had Charlo. He had Charlo versus Canelo. He had the Frank Martin versus Shakur fight, which fell through the roof. He had Bud versus Spence. Now he got Ryan Garcia in his corner too. So it's like, you know, what are they finna do to prepare for Bud while you're trying to prepare for a whole bunch of top ranked fighters at the same time?
Well, if I was Errol Spence, I wouldn't be looking towards my coach to give me, new pointers and shit like that. Boxing is an individual sport. Your coach is gonna tell you what he tells you, but it's an individual sport. You gotta get in that ring for yourself. So Errol needs to start watching film on Crawford. Go to YouTube, type in Terrence Crawford, all fights, study every last fight of that man. Then study some of the guys from the past. You got all the time in the world. Study somebody that like Errol is a guy who fights better than Errol, who uses a lot of Errol's style from back in the day. Hank Armstrong. Hank Armstrong is better than Errol just because Hank Armstrong moved his head more. So when Hank Armstrong wanted to come forward in a straight
He
line,
Hank
he would move
Armstrong.
his head with erratic movement. So even though he was moving in a straight line, it wasn't like you could just catch him whenever. So Errol needs to add in all types of head movement. He needs to add in feints. You know what I mean? Actually throwing the jab, not just using the jab to get on the inside.
Yeah.
Changing up different shit. So Errol got to go watch film. You got to watch film, come up with a couple different game plans, and go out there and see if they work. Win, lose, or draw. But you can't just go in there thinking you're gonna bully a man who really does this shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because his career on the line right now, and his career is on the line. Like this, is the make or break Spence legacy. And
Yeah.
at the same time, when you look at Bud trying to go out with a bang. He trying to grab one or two more big fights and really secure his legacy and go out with the most
Bud,
money before he
the
retire.
way that Bud thinks, if Bud gets a rematch with Spence, he gonna try to make it worse.
Yeah,
That's
he
just the way
is.
that Bud thinks.
He
He
is.
would try to make it worse because they forced him to play this black hat character, this dark
Yeah,
character
the
where
dark horse.
every time he wins,
He
they make up
deserved
some
it.
type of fucking excuse. If he would have lost to Errol Spence, people would have said, "We told you."
Yeah,
His career was a sham. He wasn't shit. He never fought nobody. Blah blah blah. So what they've done is they created a monster. When I only fight in the amateurs. I'm an amateur boxer. When you beat a man's ass for them little 3 rounds and they raise the other guy's hand, all that does is make you train harder. And you say, okay, fuck the fight. I need to cause maximum damage. Shit like that has been happening to Bud all throughout his life, where people are robbing him. You can go and watch a fight in the amateurs where Bud drops a guy twice, drops the
yeah,
dude twice, and they raise the other kid's hand. So
yeah.
Bud understands the business and he understands that he's not charismatic to where people are actually rooting for him. So when he wins, it has to be a completely dominant performance. It has to be on some dictator type shit like I'm here, I run everything, I control everything, and I'm 10 times better than this man, and it's non-deniable. You can't argue. And that's what they've created. That's what the environment, that's what the people like you and I, we have created that just by liking certain fighters more. And some people they're more biased with it. Me, I try to keep it down the middle, and I'll tell you like, yeah, I do favor this one fighter, but this other fighter has this. Some people are extremely biased with it, where they're like, this dude is a true, the other dude ain't shit. Da, 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 da. I think that's unreasonable. How can both of these guys be at the top where they're at, and they both earned belts through actually fighting, and then one of them just be trash? Even after Errol got trashed, I don't think Errol is trash.
Yeah, like Errol still got a lot of respect. People still talk highly of Errol. They just be like, he got the shit beat out of him by Bud. But I mean, at the same time, like you said, like I said earlier, Bud has been discredited his whole career. No matter who
Fact.
he's fought, no matter how bad he's won, he's
Going
always
back to the
been
amateur.
discredited. And even when you look at their resumes, they fought a lot of the same fucking fighters. That's the crazy
I've
part
said
about it.
this. I've said this. So Errol Spence fights fucking Sean Porter. Doesn't even get the stoppage. He gets one knockdown. Bud fights Sean Porter. Nobody's saying like, oh damn, Bud really stopped that man. Bud did away with him. Then they both fought the British guy. Errol stopped him. Bud stopped him in an even more dominant fashion. Errol
Yeah.
made the guy take a knee. Errol made the guy quit due to accumulation of pain. Bud really dropped that man. You know what I mean? Really had that man concussed and shit. I can't think of his name right now. What's his name? The British boxer that they both fought. Kell Brook. Yeah, so Kell Brook. So yeah, they fought a lot of the same guys. Trav made a good point. Say Bud was on Royce versus Spence. See, right there in the comment section, a lot of people believe that Bud Crawford is on some type of steroids. Personally, I don't have the information to say that. But there's been great performers like Roy Jones who was on steroids, and a lot of times immaculate performances are based off of steroids. But when you watch, what's good, Soul Negro? When you watch the fight between Errol and Bud, I don't see glove gate, I don't see steroids. Nobody told Errol Spence to lunge in there with his head right there to be countered. Nobody told Errol Spence to walk in a straight line. So that's why it's like people are saying drugs and shit like that. The reason I don't think it's drugs is like, bro, look at the fight that Errol fought. Errol has looked way better and has been more tactical inside of other fights. He's been way more tactical inside of other fights. He got to the biggest stage and forgot that you actually have to box. And I mean, shit, that can happen to anybody, man. That can happen to anybody. You could get out there and, you know, you just stop doing what got you there. Errol was never a great boxer, just hits hard. That's false. You don't get to be unified and not be a great boxer. Errol looked like he busted one before the fight. Facts. Facts. He looked like, you know, he was drained, man. Errol accident got the best of him. I don't think the accident got the best of him because he was in an accident and then came back and demolished Ugas.
Yeah, why do
He had a
people,
Danny
like,
Garcia fight where he looked
knowing
like he was affected. Now,
They
Trav, you said
always,
what?
I said they keep using that dumbass excuse that it was after the accident. Bruh, after the accident, he came back and he beat Ugas, who was coming off of a win against Manny fucking Pacquiao. And then he fought, who was it? I think he fought Danny Garcia before he fought
No,
Bud
he
too.
fought Danny Garcia before Ugas. In the Danny Garcia fight, he looked like he was damaged from the car crash. In the Ugas fight, he was completely healed from the car crash. And not only did he fight Ugas, he ended Ugas' career. Every time Ugas fights, Ugas' eye is gonna be fucked up. Mario got a nice easy win over Ugas because Errol done so much damage to that man's eye socket that if you touch it, it's gonna flare up. So Ugas' boxing career pretty much is over. Ugas should hang it up, consider retirement. And I'm not saying that to Ugas is a great competitor. I love Ugas' style. But if every time you fight, you're gonna have an injury that flares up, you should hang it up, you know. Hopefully Ugas is managing his money right.
Yeah, like they always find like, you know, and Bud got a good resume. Like folks say Bud ain't never fought nobody. He has just as good as a resume as fucking Errol Spence. He fought
They fought a
Kell
lot of
Brooks.
fucking people, like you said.
He fought Kell Brooks, Sean Porter, Gamboa, Jeff Horn.
Well, no, I think Jeff Horn ain't nobody, but Gamboa is a serious, dangerous man. Sean Porter, dangerous, great, hard worker, respectable champion. Kell Brook was a respectable champion. The same names that Errol got famous off, Bud fought him, stopped him, dominated him. The only one that Bud didn't fight that Errol got famous off was Ugas. And thank the Lord that Ugas never fought Bud because he might win a blind. I'm fucking stuttering. He might have went blind in that fucking
He
eye.
would have killed Ugas. And a lot of folks don't even know Manny Pacquiao didn't even want to fight Bud. Manny Pacquiao was willing to take a
Protected
Spence fight.
Pacquiao from Bud.
Yeah, Manny Pacquiao was willing to take a Spence fight and negotiate with Spence, but he did not want to
He did
negotiate
not
for a
want to, and
Bud
it was on
fight.
the same side of the fucking street. Bob
Exactly.
Arum protected Manny because Bob knew, damn, it's not gonna be a good look if Manny out here asleep again.
And that was the best decision they made because Manny Pacquiao lost to fucking Ugas.
Right. Bud is much more explosive than Ugas, and Bud, his feet aren't stable to the floor. Although as he's getting older, he's not moving as much.
Like people discredit Bud, but I'm ready for this rematch because it ain't gonna be no excuses. It's gonna still be excuses. They gonna still say some dumb shit.
Yeah,
As
they
they
gonna come up with
always
something.
do.
To the rematch. It's gonna be a good fight.
This rematch is gonna be lit. Bob Arum already hating saying that, oh, they're not gonna do the numbers they did the first time. The reason Bob is saying that is because he knows he fucked up. Bob doesn't know how to market black fighters. He had Terrence Crawford, the pound for pound best fighter in the world, and couldn't make no money with him. Terrence leaves, goes to the PDC, and puts on one of the larger events of the year. Of course, Ryan and Tank outsold him, but that's because of Ryan's marketing presence as well
Yeah,
as
that's because
Tank's.
of Ryan.
Yeah, but still, that was a big event. They made like 30, 40 million. They made millions of dollars, and the rematch is going to be great as well. They may not do as many numbers as the first one, but it is what it is, man.
But yeah, because if Spence loses this next match, what he will, that's the end of Spence's career. Ain't no
Well, Spence could
rematches. Ain't
continue to
nobody else
box
you
if he
can
wants.
fight.
He
Yeah,
could
but if
continue
he
to box,
continues
but
to
he will never
box,
be
now
looked
we
at
got
as potentially the best. That's all.
yeah. Now if he continues to box, now who's the only person he could fight? Boots Ennis, and I don't see Spence
Bro,
beating Boots Ennis either.
But no,
I don't
no.
see it.
Listen. Let me explain.
bro,
In boxing, they want us to think that these guys have to fight killer after killer
I
after
think
killer.
Boots
No,
probably could beat
Boots,
Spence.
Errol Spence will go to 154, fight a couple of tomato cans, get his confidence back, and work himself back into a championship position, and then end his career out like that. He doesn't have to fight Bud and then go fight Boots and then go fight the toughest guy out there. He could get a few tune-ups because he's already proven himself to the public. We know Errol is a motherfucking dog. You know, if you see Errol Spence on the pay-per-view, that you're going to see a lot of action. You're going to see a man that's going there to try to win and going to throw punches and be tough and all that great shit that the fans love. If Errol
Yeah,
was a Mexican fighter, people would give him even more respect because of his style. He doesn't fight like how most black fighters fight. Errol isn't jumping in and out and shit. Errol be putting his guard up and stepping towards a motherfucker. So we got to give him his credit. If he wants to go to 154, get a couple of showcase fights, and then fight somebody like Boots, that'd be better as opposed to him going from Terrence Crawford to Boots Ennis. That'd be horrible for his career.
yeah, but
I
you
have one
already
thing I need to
box.
say, bro.
Go ahead.
All right, Earl Spence Jr. cannot beat Boots at all or Terrence Crawford, bro. The Earl Spence Jr. need to move up to Jamel Charlo weight and end up fighting Jamel Charlo. I feel like he'll have.
No,
I feel
that's what I meant. He would be fighting Boots at 154. Errol can no longer compete at 147.
yeah, I agree.
But guys, I'm gonna go ahead and end this live. I'll be back tomorrow. I'll be doing a live tomorrow night, and I got different topics that I have on my little board. Um,
Uh,
Recently, I finished breaking down the Naoya Inoue Marlon Tapales fight. I'm about to
yep,
post that on my Patreon in a couple minutes. So if anybody in the
yeah.
live, make sure y'all support the Patreon. You can sign up for $1 a month.
I got
That's
one question.
$12 a year for the slow people. Now, everybody that wants to rewatch this live and see some of the points that we made and that we talked about, the live replay will be available on YouTube sometime by the night or by tomorrow. And everybody that came up and talked, thank you. I appreciate it. Everybody that was in the comments talking y'all shit, thank you as well. I'm out of here, man.
I got a question.
Yeah, what's up?
What boxers you think I should study, like old school?
Study everybody. Even if somebody looks like a bum, they might be good at one thing.
Uh
All right, man. I'm out. Peace.